It's time for the Champions Cup to get down to the serious business of the knockout stages. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. It feels like forever ago since, the pool stages ended in mid-January. Since then, there's been plenty of domestic action, and also we've had the entirety of the Six Nations as well. But, there's a lot of unfinished business now coming into the knockout stages. A lot of really good matchups as well this weekend, and should be some exciting rugby. So what we're going to do is, as usual, go down through each of the matchups, and we'll talk about how the teams made it to this stage, and then how I think the game is actually going to go. So we start with the first game of the round. That is on Friday, 4th of April. It's Northampton Saints versus ASN Clermont Auvergne, and it is the first of a round of 16 games. 8 o'clock kickoff at Franklin's Gardens. So let's talk about how Northampton Saints reached this point. First of all, so started pretty well. Home win 38-8 against Castres. Very good performance on that one. Then backed that up with another excellent performance. Went down to South Africa against the Bulls, and they won 30 points to 21. And that really was, a kind of a signal that, Saints may be yet again, a decent threat in this competition. Remember, they made it to the semi-final last year and almost came back to pip Leinster to make it to the final as well. So, very good recent pedigree in this tournament. Obviously, previous winners as well. Then, next one then, not so good, but they went away to Stade Francais, lost 45 points to 35. So they gave that, a good go. And then in the final pool game then, they won 34 points to 32 against Munster, which, closer than, they've played Munster a lot in this competition twice last year. And, that was the closest, it's come between them. So the gap closing between themselves and Munster. Then, Clermont. So Clermont started, again, a good win to kick off the pool for them. 28-0 against Benetton. Then they went away against Leinster. They lost 15-7, but, first team in, I don't know whether it's like 6 or 7 years or something, to deny Leinster a winning bonus point at home in the pool stages. So that again showed that they had something about them. But next away game, not so good. Lost 40 points to 21 against Bath. Then returned home and they beat Bristol 33 points to 26. That helped them to qualify for the round of 16. So Clermont, they're a team with a lot of pedigree in this competition. They'd never won it, unlike Northampton, but they've come close on a lot of occasions. They're one of those teams, the French teams, that really do properly take this competition seriously, and they're almost like the precursor to La Rochelle. A team who maybe aren't like from the top shelf in France, but love this competition, take it seriously, and have ambitions to win it. La Rochelle have fulfilled those ambitions, more than fulfilled them at this stage. Clermont, not yet, but hopefully, one year they are going to do that and win it, because it's great to see, a team who, again, they're not the big fancy team, but they don't do what other French teams do that aren't in that bracket. We see a lot of French teams don't take the competition seriously, especially away from home. They send weakened sides, and, they get knocked out in the pool stages, and they don't really care. They're just focused on top 14. Clermont, not that way inclined. Not that they wouldn't love to win the top 14, but, they'd absolutely love to win this. And I remember, going all the way back to when Munster were on that, crusade to win their first European title. Clermont were in similar position at the time, and that was back when only 8 teams qualified from the pools. At that stage, we had 5 pools of 4, 20 teams, and you basically had to win your pool to progress, or, be one of 3 best runners up. So there weren't many places, but Clermont still went, deep into a lot of those tournaments and just showed the kind of pedigree, but also the kind of love that they have for this competition. I don't think that has diminished. Even if they're not maybe up at that level anymore, it feels like maybe they're beginning to come back, maybe a little bit of a renaissance for them. But in this one, so Northampton currently 8th in the Premiership, so not in great form. Clermont 6th in the top 14, so certainly, doing slightly better domestically compared to Northampton. But one thing we have to think about is, the records home and away in the pool stages. So Northampton, they're home for this tie. 2 home games, 2 wins. Clermont, they're the away side. 2 pool games away from home, lost both of them. So given that, I've got to plug for a Northampton win in that one. And also like to say as well, last year in the build-up to the semi-final, I actually met some really nice Northampton fans in Dublin. And, it was just great to have a chat with them about rugby and stuff like that. And it's one of my favorite things about rugby is you can meet rugby fans from all over the world and you can just have a chat. There's no kind of, there's no kind of animosity or anything like that. And they were just great people to have a nice chat with. So on to the next game then. And that one is Toulon versus Saracens. So this is the first of the Saturday games. It is a 12:30 kickoff and is in the Stade Félix Mayol. And let's have a look at how they got here. So Toulon, first of all, away from home, go down to South Africa, beat the Stormers 24 points to 14. Now, Stormers not having the best season, especially compared to the last 3 seasons that they had since they've joined the URC. But still, that's an impressive victory to go there and get that. Then they backed that up, beating URC champions Glasgow 30 points to 29. Now, Glasgow did, I think, make a mistake in that game. They picked, not the first team to start, and then they had a lot of their experienced players on the bench. And Toulon built up a big lead. And then Glasgow brought the bench on and started coming back at them and almost won the game. So Glasgow may be kicking themselves that they didn't, pick a stronger side to start with in that one, because they may have had a much better seeding on the back of it. But win there for Toulon. They backed it up then with 33 points to 21 win against Harlequins. And looking like at that stage, 1 game left. They're in the mix for who's going to be the top seed in the round of 16. You had at that point themselves Leinster, Bordeaux and Toulouse, all with realistic chances to be number 1 or number 2 seeds. But then final game to go away to Sale and they get pumped 33 points to 7. So, not a great end to the pool stages for them. Then their opponent, Saracens. So they start off with a home win, 27 points to 5 against the Bulls. Decent start there. Bulls maybe, again, could have picked a better side to come up to Europe. But, it feels like they really are prioritising the URC this year, trying to get their hands. They've been in the URC final twice, and it feels like they're trying to get their hands on that URC title, finally. Then Saracens go away to Stade Francais and they win that one at 28 points to 17. So perfect start for them, 2 wins out of 2. And that's when things start going off the rails a little bit for them. So they go away to Munster, they lose 17-12. And then finally then at home, they lose 32 points to 24 to Castres. So not a great end to the pool stages for Saracens. So much promise in the first 2 rounds, and in the last 2 let themselves down really. So domestically then, Toulon 3rd in the top 14, flying high. Saracens 6th in the Premiership, and there's talk about them sending a weakened side to this and basically prioritising trying to get into the top 4 in the Premiership and get into those playoffs and win that. The fact that they're away in the round of 16, it seems like maybe, they're not going to have a great team out for this one. And that's just kind of, I was going to back Toulon anyway, because, they've been really good through the pool stages, apart from that away loss to Sale. But, won both their home games. Saracens won one away game and lost one away game. So, I was going to back Toulon anyway, but if Saracens aren't going to be picking, their strongest team, then definitely going to go for Toulon in that one. Okay, on to the next one then, and that is 3 o'clock kickoff is Leinster versus Harlequins. So 3 o'clock, Croke Park in Dublin. And honestly, it's great to see games going to Croke Park as well. It's much bigger stadium than the Aviva, and you just get more fans in there. And, I feel like the atmosphere there is actually better than the Aviva as well. But, Leinster, 3 years now they've been in the final and, haven't come away with a trophy. And, you wonder whether if they can, first of all, can they get to the final this year again? And if they do, can they actually, win it? Because they recruited, I think very smartly, in the off season, bring in the likes of, R.G. Snyman, Barrett as well. But the big one for me is Slimani. He has been absolute revelation, in that team. And you look at it as well, Leinster, they took their, South African, their South African tour, which has just ended, far more seriously. Slimani, Barrett and Snyman all played against the Bulls 2 weeks ago down in South Africa, whereas the way the tactic they've been doing for the last 3 years has been rest all the big players, just for the Champions Cup game. And don't send them down to South Africa. Don't even send players who are going to be potentially on the bench, in Champions Cup down to South Africa. The team that, played and beat the Sharks last week, probably had, at least, a handful of players, if not more, who are going to be involved in the matchday squad against Harlequins as well. So again, it shows that they don't want to, this year, they don't want to be kind of undercooked, which they probably felt like they were going into the point at the end of the season last year. But let's talk about how Leinster got here. So first of all, go away to Bristol. Bristol actually did well in that one, initially keeping them scoreless. But then once, Leinster just blitzed them in 10 minutes in the second half, 10 or 15 minutes, completely blitzed them and ended up winning 35 points to 12. Then home game against Clermont, won 15-7. Not a brilliant performance from them, but again, you have to give credit to Clermont for that. Then they go away to La Rochelle, they win 16-14. One of their best performances of the season, certainly. And then at home, then they round off with a 47 points to 21 win against Bath. So, end up sweeping their pool, 4 wins out of 4, and they got one of the top seedings because of that. Then against Harlequins, so Harlequins started off, lost to Racing 23 points to 12, and that was a bit of a surprise. Not necessarily that they lost, but although they did beat, they did actually win that fixture last year in the pool stages. More that it wasn't as close as the recent meetings between Quins and Racing 92 have been. Then next, they home against Stormers. Stormers send a weakened side. They beat them 53 points to 16. And I was talking at that time as well about teams sending weakened sides like that absolutely deserve whatever they get. Then travel away to Toulon and they lose 33 points to 21. And then finally, they finish off a decent win against URC champions Glasgow, 24 points to 7. and that helped them to qualify for the knockout stages. So domestically, Leinster, top of the URC. They've got, I think, an 8-point cushion on Glasgow at the moment, and that was obviously helped with that win against the Sharks away from home last week. Quins 7th in the Premiership, so not doing, brilliantly domestically. And then again, we have to look at the pool performances from these teams. Leinster, not only did they win both of their home games, they won both of their away games as well. Whereas Quins did win both of their home games, but they lost their 2 away games, and they lost the first game lost by 8 points, second game they lost by 12 points. So not even coming within the score of the opposition in those. And honestly, if Leinster perform in this one, I don't think Quins will come within a score by the end either. And I'm going to go for a Leinster win in that one. Okay, next one then is Castres Olympique versus Benetton Rugby. Nice to see Benetton making the round of 16. They have progressed in recent seasons. This season, funnily enough, even though they've qualified for the round of 16, they haven't been up to the level, I think, that they have been in previous years. They've been very kind of up and down. They've shifted some, big defeats, both in this competition and in the URC as well. And then they've produced some really good performances as well, but not consistent enough, honestly. So how did Castres get here first? So started off not too well, losing away from home 38-8 to Northampton. Then that 16 points of 14 win against Munster. That was decent for them. Munster probably kicking themselves they didn't take the chance to win or to get the win in that one. Bulls then 49 points to 10. Great win for Castres there. And then that final game against Saracens, winning 32 points to 24 away from home. And that really big boost for them, guaranteeing that they were going to get a home draw in the round of 16. Then Benetton, not as straightforward for them, losing 28-0 first up to Clermont. Then a shock win, 22 points to 21 against Bath. Bath did send a weakened side, but they probably looked at, how abject Benetton were against Clermont, and they thought to get away with it. They didn't. Then they travel away to Bristol, very competitive in that game, but they lose 35 points to 29. And then the big result for them was that win against La Rochelle in the final pool game at home, 32 points to 25. So some really good performances from Benetton and some not so good performances as well on the way to this point. Castres at the moment 5th in the top 14, Benetton 7th in the URC, but currently in the URC, being 6th and being kind of 11th in the league is almost the same because there's hardly any points between them. At least Benetton, starting to move back up the league. Whether they can keep that up or not, is anyone's guess. But looking at this, I think Benetton, again, that they haven't produced in big games this year, and I'm not expecting them to produce in this one either. So I'm going to go for a Castres win in that one, and I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm predicting all home wins so far. I don't know whether that's going to continue all the way through, but one thing to keep in mind is that since we've moved to this format, so coming away from the old Heineken Cup format, is that the advantage of being at home in knockout stages seems to be greater than it was before, because we're not seeing, we're seeing hardly any teams win away from home in the knockout stages. And, when you look back at the old Heineken Cup, you used to basically have a rule of thumb 1-4, as in 1-4 away teams in knockout stages would win. So in the, in the quarterfinals, you get one team, out of those, who'd come up with a win, and if we applied it to this, round of 16, we would expect two teams away from home to win, but it hasn't happened. So, it's not just me. It's just how things have happened. But in this one, yeah, as I said, I'm going for a Castres win. Next, then we have. So let me see. So that was the other 3 o'clock kickoff. Oh yeah, that one, by the way, is in the Stade Pierre Fabre. And then onto the 5:30 kickoff. So this is Stade Rochelle versus Munster Rugby. So or La Rochelle. I'm gonna just call them La Rochelle from now on. But La Rochelle head coach, a Munster legend in Ronan O'Gara, versus Munster, maybe not the Munster of kind of vintage Munster, but still a really big club or province, and they're going to bring, like, there was a tweet from La Rochelle saying they're expecting about maybe 2,000 Munster fans to come over. It's going to be way more than that. Like, Munster fans travel like no other fans in the world. There's going to be a sea of red. Maybe not all of them are going to have tickets, but there's going to be tons of them over there. Anyway, but this one is a 5:30 kickoff. It's in the Stade Marcel de Flandre. Okay, and let's have a chat about how the teams got here. So, we start with La Rochelle. So, away from home, they beat Bath 24 points to 20, and decent win for them. But maybe even though I think Bath at the time were first in the Premiership, so a decent win for them. Then they take on Bristol, who at the time were second in the Premiership, and at home, and they beat them very comfortably, 35 points to 7. Looks like they're going to cruise through the pool stages compared to last year, because last year they lost their first 2 games and then they had to win the last 2 to actually qualify. So, looking like they're absolutely cruising through. Then they lose at home 16 points to 14 against Leinster, and follow up with that shock defeat to Benetton, 34 points to 25 away from home. So, that's how they got here. So 2 wins to start the pool and 2 losses to end the pool. Munster then, a bit more mixed in their one. So home against Stade Francais, they win 35 points or 33 points to 7. Although in that one, I think that pretty sure they're against 13 players for a lot of that game, if I'm remembering rightly. And then Stade, at that stage, they brought on a bunch of young lads from the bench, and they actually stopped Munster kind of running away with the game. So that was kind of an interesting one. Then they go away from home against Castres, have every chance to win the game, and end up losing 16 points to 14. Then back at home, they beat Saracens 70 points to 12. Then they go away to Northampton. Much improved performance there, honestly, because their performances in the pool stages, although they did have 2 wins, not great. But in this one, they did lose 34 points to 32, but it felt like there was a bit more of a spark to Munster. And kind of recently in their performances as well, we're seeing that spark a little bit more from them too. But domestically, La Rochelle at the moment 10th in the top 14, so things not going great for them. And Munster 5th in the URC. And as I said, Munster have been improving recently. It's kind of similar to the run they had a couple of years ago, where started the season poorly, and then they ended up going on a decent run and actually winning the URC. And it feels like they're getting into that kind of level now. And, one of the good things for them as well is that the attack is being to fire. Their attack has been poor most of the season, honestly, but now we're seeing, much more threat out of them. So this one, like, my head is saying La Rochelle are going to win this one. And my head is honestly saying that it's basically going to be all home wins in the round of 16. And I probably should stick with that. But for this one, I'm going to just give us an away prediction. So I'm going to go for Munster to win this one. Okay. On to the next game then. It is Glasgow Warriors versus Leicester Tigers. So this one, 8 o'clock kickoff at Scotstoun Stadium. And yeah, let's talk about how these teams got here as usual. So Glasgow had a fantastic chance to win their pool, but it didn't work out for them. So start off with very comfortable win, 38 points to 19 against Sale. Then they go away to Toulon, lose 30 points to 29. We talked about how they brought on, the first teamers off the bench and almost, had a famous comeback win, but wasn't to be. Then back to Scotstoun, they beat Racing 92, 29 points to 19. And then kind of a damp squid end to their pool stages. They go away to Harlequins and lose 24 points to 7. Really didn't turn up in that one. And, that was kind of surprising because the thing that Glasgow changed last season, and I thought maybe they'd bring it in more into this season, was they actually started performing in the big games. And that's why they ended up winning the URC, having been, a really good team, who previously in finals or quarterfinals, semi-finals didn't turn up, and suddenly they last year they got it right. They got the mental side of the game right, and they lift the first domestic trophy in, was it like 9 years or something like that? I think 2015 was maybe the last time they won the league. I might be wrong about that though. But yeah, pool stage is not as good as they could have been, but still enough to get them a home draw. They're then against Leicester, who start off with 32 points to 28 loss away to Bordeaux. And, given how Bordeaux went for the rest of the pool stages, that actually wasn't a bad result for them. Then 2 home games, they beat the Sharks 56 points to 17. And then follow up with another comfortable win, 38 points to 10 against Ulster, followed by a record defeat against Toulouse, 80, not 1-8, 80 points to 12. They lost against Toulouse. Like, Toulouse just ran absolutely rampant in that game. And, Leicester were probably thinking, well, if we could get a losing bonus point, maybe we could sneak a home draw. But it definitely was not to be for them. And, looking at kind of domestically, like, both these teams actually doing well. Glasgow second in the URC, Leicester currently third in the Premiership. So both teams decent form domestically. And it honestly is, like, again, Glasgow, even though they are URC champions, there is, especially with that Harlequins result, there is a little bit of, will they kind of be kicking themselves that they didn't play their natural game against Leicester and get knocked out and be one of maybe the only team, home team to lose in the round of 16. There is a little bit of that on it, honestly. But Glasgow, they stepped up last year. I'm hoping they're going to step up this year as well and progress through to the quarterfinals, because first of all, I like Glasgow anyway. They're one of my favorite teams outside of Ireland, but as well, URC team. I'm hoping all the URC teams do well. I don't think they're all going to get qualified by any stretch of the imaginations, but I hope Glasgow are going to be one of them, and I'm going to back them for the win. But again, if you're looking for a possible away win, I think this would be one that you'd certainly kind of circle in the fixtures. Okay, on to the next one then. So we're on to the Sunday games at this stage, and we have Union Bordeaux-Begles, so I'll just call them Bordeaux for now on, against Ulster Rugby. This is 12:30 kickoff. It is at the Stade Chaban Delmas, and yeah, this is a bit of a mismatch, honestly, but let's talk about how the teams got here. First of all, so Bordeaux start with a win against Leicester at home, 42 points to 28. So again, the not like when you look at, we're going to look at the rest of the results, but that's actually a decent performance by Leicester there to get like, a try bonus point out of that one. Then to go away to Ulster. Ulster competitive initially, but then Bordeaux just blew them away in the second half. 40 points to 19 that they won that one. Then they go away to Exeter and just pile even more misery onto them. 69 points to 17 away win, just fantastic from them. And then they round off with another thumping win against the Hollywood Bet Sharks, 66 points to 12, winning that one just to round things off quite nicely for them. So 4 wins out of 4 in the pool stages for Bordeaux. Then Ulster start off with, getting absolutely destroyed by Toulouse, 62 points to 21. Then that game against Bordeaux, 40 points to 19, lost at home. And then they go away to Leicester and they lose 38 points to 10. And you're thinking, okay, well, they're gone now. There's no way they're going to qualify. And then it just so happens that the bottom 2 teams in the pool, themselves and Exeter, are playing each other in the final game with a chance to qualify because of that. And Ulster end up, actually producing a decent performance, 52 points to 24 win. And that was enough to get them, scrape through into the round of 16. So domestically then, Bordeaux in second place in the top 14 and, riding really high, packed with, talent from that French team that just won the Six Nations. Ulster, by contrast, have been currently 6th in the URC, which I think it's probably the highest they've been this season because they've been out of the playoffs for most of the season. Come into a little bit of form, but you wouldn't say it's form to go away to Bordeaux and win, honestly. They are beginning to click, but it feels like, next season is when you're expecting Ulster maybe to get back up near the levels they were kind of, at this stage, what was it, 3 seasons ago? But yeah, at the moment, got to back Bordeaux for this one. And I think, it's probably not even going to be close. Like Ulster, honestly, if they could I'd be delighted if they could pull off a victory in it, but it may be a case of just trying to keep the score down. Unfortunately for them, because again, they have shown a lot of signs of progress recently, but just not enough. Like Bordeaux are just a class team. Now Bordeaux did go into the knockout stages last year, looking like one of the hot favourites to at least make a semi-final, and then they came a cropper against Harlequins in a very high-scoring game. But I don't think Ulster at the moment can put enough points on them because Bordeaux are going to score. They're going to score a lot. So yeah, I don't think Ulster are going to have it within them to do that. So going for a Bordeaux win in that one. And then the final game then of the round of 16 is, if you thought Bordeaux were a tough team to play against, Stade Toulousain or Toulouse, and I've got the shirt on for a reason because, defending champions, absolutely class team, even without Dupont, they just have so much talent in that team. It's scary. But they're playing against the Sale Sharks. I'll just call them Sale because I'm a URC fan, to me, Hollywood Bet Sharks are the Sharks and Sale are Sale, if you know what I mean. But this one, 3:00 kickoff in the Stadium de Toulouse. And yeah, let's talk about how these teams got here. So Toulouse just kind of, waltzed through their pool stage the same way that Bordeaux did, 2 of them in the same pool. Ulster at home, 61 points to 21 win. Then they go away to Exeter and they win 64 points to 21. Then they go down to South Africa against the Sharks, full of Springboks, and they win 20 points to 8. And then that final, just cherry on top, home to Leicester, 80 points to 12 win. Just crazy stuff there. Sale, They start off with that 38 points to 19 away defeat to Glasgow. Then, decent performance, 29 points to 7 win against Racing at home. Then they go away to the Stormers. They lose 40 points to 0 in that one. And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe Sale aren't going to make it. But then they caused a bit of an upset, or more than just a bit of an upset, beating Toulon, who were looking like, they were going to easily top their pool. But Sale beat them then 33 points to 7 to win that one and to qualify for these knockout stages. At the moment, domestically, Toulouse first in the top 14, doing brilliantly that as well. They've got, again, like Bordeaux, got a bunch of players coming back, full of confidence from just after winning the Six Nations. And then, other than that, they've got tons of talent in there as well from other Six Nations teams, players who had pretty good tournaments as well. And Sale, 5th in the Premiership in England. And yeah, there's nothing really to say that Sale are going to cause an upset here. You look at their 2 away performances in the pool stages, comprehensively beaten 38 points to 19 against Glasgow, and then just hockeyed by Stormers 40 points to 0. So it's another one kind of like Ulster that, they'd love to cause an upset, but you feel like at some point they might be just trying to keep the score down. So unsurprisingly, I'm going to go for a Toulouse win in that one. Okay, so that's our look ahead to the round of 16. We will have, coverage of the games over the weekend as well, as many as I can cover. Probably looking at about 4, honestly, over the whole weekend, because as I talked about, previously, that I might watch more than 4 games, but not sure I can cover more than 4 games because it's a lot of effort covering a game, especially when you got games back to back. And what I want to do is maybe cover 4 games. I might do more, but I'm thinking at the moment 4, and then maybe watch other games and just watch them to enjoy them rather than having to do all my notes and stuff like that. So that's the plan. But you let me know how you think the round of 16 is going to go. Is it going to be like other seasons where it's just going to be all home wins, or can you pick out an away win for me? Let me know down in the comments.